everybody. This is SA with the Author Sesh Corner, and I am with my co-host Wren Nightingale, and today is Author Spotlight, and we have H.W. Gomez with us today, if I could talk.
All right, so Gomez, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi guys, how's it going? Yeah, so I am the author of Blood Moon Rising and Modern Taino, two of my self-published books. The first one being about Lewis and Clark, where they go across the country and they battle supernatural creatures. They also ally themselves with supernatural creatures and form sort of like a coalition. And I am currently on the editing stage of my sequel for it.
Oh. When did you start writing? Like, how old?
Oh God. So writing in general, I'd say like 7. So weird backstory. I used to write rap music. I rapped for like, I'd say most of my teenage life into like probably till I was like 20, 21. And then I just stopped. I became a CEO and I was like, well, I'm not going to be like the next Rick Ross. So, I stopped making music because I didn't really have anything to rap about. Because it was like my outlet for like darker vibes. And I didn't really have anything dark going on in my life at the time. So I just kind of gave it up.
I know.
But I've been writing for, I'd say, a while.
Lyric writing is not easy. So I give you kudos for...
No, it's not. Thank you.
So you could talk about all of your books. You can talk about one particular book. But can you tell us a little bit about your published works?
Yeah. So like I was talking about for Blood Moon Rising, it follows the story of Lewis and Clark, but it's told through the perspective of Sacagawea's son, who is a werewolf. So he's telling the story to Lewis and Clark's descendants over a campfire, which it changes the setting, obviously, because they're not just going to stay at the campfire in the future. So there's some time jumping in between narratives, and they built this magical world of different creatures. I have 8 different tribes in Fort Mundon, which is a real life place. I try to incorporate history and the fantasy world. So Fort Mundon was one of the places that they stayed during the winter because it was really harsh and they were out of supplies, and they went to the neighboring tribe, which was the Mundon tribe. That being said, I kind of took it into my own creation, and I had them ally with the different tribes of the Outer Realm, as I like to call them. There's the Lontra tribe, which is a tribe of otter people. There's Anurians, which is frog people. There is the Auki tribe, which is moose people. And then there is the Bovidae tribe, which is buffalo. I based a lot of their names off from like the Latin terminology. And then there's the Masadi, which is the moon wolves, as it like loosely translates. I got it from the Shoshone language, and I've been trying to stay as accurate as possible to history, but also making it my own. When I have a character that I introduce, I try to stick to what their character was like. So Lewis is the explorer and the expert on the land, and Clark is more of like this rigid workforce that was kind of just along for the ride.
I like all the different areas and all the different tribes that you have, and also just incorporating a lot of like different languages in there too. That's fascinating. Did it take you like a lot of time to research for that?
Yeah, I would say that it took a lot of time, and a lot of different names were brought up. At one point, I named the frog people the Anuras, and I didn't really like that. And I just like the Anurian sound to it. But I found in my like previous drafts that I had like a mixture of their names, and I had to go back and change it all. Researching for it wasn't too difficult because like I had the creatures before I had the names, so I just kind of went through Latin and saw what was their names in Latin and kind of did a spin on them. Some of them aren't exactly the Latin name. They'll have like a extra consonant in there, so it's unique to my book and not just something that's copy and paste.
Yeah, and that makes sense. So how did you choose your title, and does it hold any significance for your story?
So I chose my title based off from the Blood Moon. It does have a significance to it. It's kind of a sought out thing for werewolves to be basically changed under the Blood Moon. But it elevates their powers to a degree that they're more powerful than the average werewolf, which they're already pretty OP as it is. But there's a leader that's trying to gain power throughout the world, and the Blood Moon kind of it's basically he's trying to attack on that specific time. That way he has the upper hand.
Right.
I own it. Yeah, but I do own it, and I know Axel, when he did his little review for you, it sounds very interesting, and I can't wait to read it.
Thanks. I actually just talked to Axel the other day. We play Arc Raiders together.
My husband plays it all the time too.
Oh, it's so fun.
Do you play on Xbox or PlayStation?
PlayStation.
So getting back, how do you come up with character names in the process for that?
That's a good question. So for like, I'll give an example. When I was looking up names for Sacagawea's brother, I chose the name Yato. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't even remember what the reasoning was for it. But I know that it like meant something, and I was like, oh, that totally describes this character. I'd have to go back into like my very, very early notes from like 4 years ago, but I chose that name for a specific reason. And when I looked up like what it meant, I was like, okay, that definitely, I guess, like coincides with their character traits. And I try to base it off from that, and I'll look into the actual language of the people that I'm writing about. Like, Yato is the Shoshone tribe. So I looked up Shoshone names and then kind of played around with that. And there is a funny story about the main character, Sacagawea's son. I named him Pompey, and I did like massive research, and I never saw this name like anywhere in the research. And then I was reading journals, and Clark referred to him as Pomp. And I was like, wait, hold on a minute. Like, I've never seen this before. And it was kind of like this weird convergence of like minds, where I was like thinking like William Clark in my head, and he was thinking like me, like years prior, obviously. I feel like that was a very long-winded answer to how do I name my characters.
You're good. What kind of genre do you seem to gravitate towards?
I'd definitely say fantasy. If I were to describe my book series, I would say that it's like forest horror, maybe like a Western Gothic fantasy, which I feel like is a very unique like genre as itself. Like I feel like I kind of like blended my own genre together, which I was hoping to do. I didn't want to be stuck in one like restricting genre.
Well, you can have genres and then subgenres in it, like
Yeah,
fantasy, but I also have, as a subgenre, there's romance in it, and then there is, modern and all kinds of stuff. So, I mean, you can have several different genres within a genre.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
What advice would you give someone writing in your genre?
That's a very good question. I would say do a lot of research. It's very easy to, I'm not saying it's very easy to plagiarize, but it's very easy to get very close to something that you've seen on television or read in a book, and then you're like, oh, that's a great idea, and you're like, where did I get that idea from? And you have to be as careful as possible when you're coming up with world building, because you don't want it to be close to anything else. Like, this is a world that you're building for yourself and for your potential readers. You don't want it to be like the next Harry Potter. You want it to be your own thing that people are going to refer to. And I think that's very important, that you realize what your influences are, and you don't steer away from them, but you also don't embrace them fully either. You make it your own.
Yeah. Research, yeah, definitely. Because you don't want to also have the wrong thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
There's honestly a scene that I just had to rewrite. And it's like, it's false in history, but it's not like a bad false thing. I don't want to say too much without like spoiling anything, but I killed off a character that lived longer in real life than in my story timeline. So then I had to like rewrite it to why that person was cut off. And I thought about even scrapping the entire idea of killing them, but I felt like it built character to the characters involved, that it's going to make more sense going on into the second half of the second book and the third book because of what I built in the beginning. And it sucks because if somebody does call me out, I kind of have to be like, yeah, I know, like I did something different. But I mean, if you're reading my book series, you know that I'm going to take history and I'm going to spin it anyway. So not everything's going to be completely accurate, because there weren't werewolves in Lewis and Clark's time. So
right. And yeah, and it's
I mean, there might have
fiction
been
and fantasy. So like if they have a problem with it, it's like, oh well, like you chose to read this book.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you use a functional outline, or was it just chaos that somehow worked?
Oh, it was definitely chaos that somehow worked. I think you were part of the group chat when I found out that I had chapter 5 question mark.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's definitely chaos that eventually worked after I put more effort into it. I suck at editing. I'm not gonna lie. It's not that I don't like take my own criticism. It's just that like once I was done with the book, I was just like, I don't want to write anymore for this. I want to move on to the sequel. And that's exactly what I did. And in essence, I feel like that's what, in the beginning, when I wasn't making any sales for my book, I feel like it was because of what I did previously for my mistakes. And then once I started to like fix those, that's when I started getting readers.
Yeah, if I remember right, you had format issues, right?
Yeah, I had like major format issues.
Yeah, I remember that. How many drafts did you go through en route to the finished product?
I'd say like 6 or 7. I totally did not mean to meme that, by the way.
I didn't even think about it until you said something.
My kids drive me insane with that.
Yeah. They were the kids on the pickup line. One day they came out and all the boys were shouting 6-7.
Oh my gosh.
I did a delivery because I work at Rent-A-Center, and I went to go deliver somebody's washer, and their daughter comes out and she's just like 6-7. I'm like, do you even know what that means? She's like, no. And I'm like, probably shouldn't say it then. Not that I'm parenting anybody else's kids or anything, but
Whether it be published or your work in progress, who is your favorite character and why? And can you tell us a little bit about them?
Damn. Okay. I would say my favorite character is Sacagawea's best friend. Her name's Anise, and she is a very talented woman. She's a excellent tracker. She can track anything in the woods that is in her heart's desire. She has a shaved head on the side, and then a mohawk, and then this side is long with braids. At least that's how I envisioned her and described her. And she's just badass. She's been through a lot of trauma. She's always been there for Sacagawea, but she's her own person. She's not just some side character that exists as the main trio's best friend. It's somebody that contributes towards the party, and without her, the mission might have failed.
I like that. She sounds like a very badass character.
Is there a particular scene or passage that you're incredibly proud of?
I honestly, for the first book, no. Just because I feel like it was so action-packed and just straight to the point that I didn't have a lot of imagery. I feel like I'm kind of tapping into that more with the sequel. And there's times that I can't remember what I put in the first book versus what I'm writing in the sequel, because the sequel's I'd say 3 times longer than the original book. So it's hard to differentiate hey, what was in the beginning of the sequel versus what was at the end of book 1. But there is a scene that I was writing where it was based off from the song Werewolves of London, and I played that on repeat, and I wrote this really cool battle scene in the streets of London, and there were werewolves involved, and that's really all that I'm getting involved in with that.
I like that. What would you say the hardest part of the writing process is?
I'd say the hardest part of the writing process is the making sure that everything makes sense, flow wise, and making sure that everything is up to par with the canon. There's times that I have to go back and read hey, what did this person do in this situation, or how would this person act, or what have they done in the past, and it directly affects the future in that character, and you have to kind of hone in on all of your stuff. I've started to create an Excel document, what people's traits were and all of that, just based off from how difficult it is to keep on track of that.
Mm-hmm. That's why outlining can actually be very important, because it will help you keep track of all of that. I recently had a thing where I'm making my bookmarks, and I was did I name this character's eyes? Not anywhere in my book did I say what her eye color was the whole time. And I'm okay.
Yeah, and I had a guess.
I honestly am working. I'm working on a side project, and I was writing how beautiful this person's eyes were, and I was describing it in full detail, and then I was wait, what color were they? And I was I don't think I've ever said what color these eyes were, and now I have to go back and insert this somewhere very playfully without forcing it.
Yeah, no, mine.
Maybe
I was
it's an author thing. People just forget about eyes.
Mine was she has fox-like eyes the whole time, and I'm well, I'm not gonna put in her eye color, so everybody's gonna have to go see what a fox eyes look like.
That's great. They're yellow, right?
they're it depends on the fox. They're a yellow brown.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had to think for a second.
No, see, that's why I'm everybody's gonna have to go look.
No, but that's a good thing. Honestly, I loved when I was a reader. Well, I still am a reader, but when I was an avid reader and I would knock out 10 books in a couple of weeks, I loved books that would force me to go and research stuff. If I didn't know a word, I loved that. So the fact that you put that and you didn't put the eye color, I would have loved that as a reader.
Oh, okay, perfect.
Which passage gave you the most difficulty, and were there sections that required dozens of revisions?
Yes, and it was definitely the conclusion, because I felt like the climax was like all the way up here, and I had to get to the conclusion that was like all the way down here. And it's very hard to go from like fully action packed to being like, okay, let's wrap this up, like time to go. And it almost felt like my story was like, no, we're not done, like give us 5 more minutes. And it was very difficult to wind that down, and I feel like I got the sweet spot, but it was definitely a struggle. I wrote probably like 20 different endings just because I didn't know how to end it properly while like keeping the reader curious for more, but also kind of wrapping it up just in case I didn't get to a sequel, you know? Because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to come up with a second book or a third book or anything like that. This was my first book. I wrote it during peak COVID. I was doing mortuary affairs for the military at the time. So this was kind of like my safe haven. I'd come back to my hotel room after doing some pretty dark shit, and I'd write, and I kind of just like word vomited until it felt right, and then I kept editing, and once I got to that conclusion, though, it was like, this is it. Like it was closure for me as a person, because it was like, that was my therapy guideline. So it was like closing out on a chapter years later on something that was pretty traumatic. So I'd definitely say that the conclusion was the hardest part to write, because how do you finish something that you're so close to?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get that. Endings are hard to figure out.
They're so hard.
Yeah.
Even ending a book, even ending a chapter is like, where do I stop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you have to cut anything specific from the final version? And sorry, my brain just went this to this. It's all gone. Wait.
You're good.
Yes. Okay. Did you have to cut anything from the specific version? And yeah, just do that question.
Yes. So there was a scene that I had SA involved, sexual assault, for people that don't know abbreviations. And it was more like in detail. And I realized that like the audience that I'm going for, if I want to go for that audience, I can't go into full detail. I just have to be as vague as possible. But it kind of fit with the character, because it's a man that's sexual assaulted. And as you guys know, men are very stigmatized when it comes to that. They don't come out and say anything. And it's a huge problem in our society. So I kept it kind of like hush hush, because that's how society is to begin with. And I feel like it gives a chance for the reader to ask questions and to, I don't know, look within themselves to know what they feel on that topic.
Mm-hmm.
But it was hard to take out of it too, because I wrote a very like, not a touching scene, but a very traumatic scene for this character, and it really built on him. But I feel like the finished product was quick and to the point, and it was where it needed to be.
Yeah. I was in the same boat with Tyrant, with my main character Layla, and I had a whole beginning scene describing how she was first essayed, and I was like going through my final edits, and I finally decided it was a bit much, so I also had to tone down for her. So I 100% agree with that.
Do you have a trigger warning page?
I don't. I did, and then I took it out because I took out like most of that scene. It was touched on. It wasn't really like said that he was sexually assaulted, but like implied. So I never saw the point of doing a trigger warning, because I'm very like clear that this is horror, this is body horror too. Like there's people that get their heads chopped off. And I grew up without trigger warnings. I know that, like, that's probably controversial, but we read To Kill a Mockingbird, we read Of Mice and Men, and we didn't have trigger warnings. We just read it, and that's how I view my books too, because it's like I'm writing about a time period where it was brutal, and then there was a ton of shit that went on that people don't want to talk about today.
Yeah.
There's a scene where Clark, I don't want to say it out, but there's a scene that shows Clark's character wasn't always what it like is written in the history books. He has a really bad moment, like racially charged, where he felt like he was more than human than others. And that's definitely something that I do want to explore more, but it's hard, as I'll call myself a white author, but I mean, my last name's Gomez. I have Black family members. I'd love to explore like the actual language of it, because I feel like it would conjure up attention, but I don't want controversy. I just want to be accurate, if that makes sense. But like, I'm not also trying to litter my book with N-words. Like that's, I'm not about to do that. I'm not Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah.
How has your writing evolved since you began publishing?
I feel like I've gotten a lot more detail orientated. I'm definitely more descriptive with writing for like character traits and what they look like, and building a scene. I feel like before I was just like, hey, they're going to this place, and then never describing like what happened or like how they got there or what the place looked like or smelled like. And now I'm like really tuning into like, hey, I'm telling this from the perspective of Sacagawea's son. He's there. I want to be as accurate as possible. And there are definitely like, not, I wouldn't say fourth wall breaks, but moments where he's telling the story to the descendants of Lewis and Clark, where he's like, whoa, this is a lot to like talk about. And I don't know, I really like those parts of the book.
Can you share a personal life experience that inspired a character or a scene?
Yeah, so there's a character named Big Tree. He's the like father figure of Sacagawea, Yato, and Anise, and her brother Ulak. Now that I'm naming all of my characters, and he's not like the chief of the tribe. He's more of like as an advisor, and I kind of centered him around my grandfather that passed away when I was younger. He was very like inspirational to me, and just this stoic person that like I didn't really see like all of the other sides of him until I was older, obviously, like found out different things about him that were cool. But I really just tried to stick to like my admiration for the man that passed away when I was younger, and kind of built the legend of him.
Do you think about your audience or write primarily for yourself?
I think I'd say a 70-30 split, where I think about myself 70% and 30% of the audience. At the end of the day, I wrote this story because I was very into like the fantasy world. I got heavily into Percy Jackson and the Olympians and the Lost Hero, and the Kane Chronicles. I was a huge Riordan fan. But then I started asking myself, I was like, we don't have American gods. We don't have American myths, really. Like, we do have the native myths, but there's nothing that, like, we have Paul Bunyan, right? But there's not much else other than that. And if there is, it's very vague. So my job as an author to myself is to create a world that I wanted to live in. So my Paul Bunyan, he's introduced in the beginning of the book for the first book, but he's in my second book. He's a werebear. So I've taken myths and I've kind of twisted them to my liking and to kind of tell a different story.
Okay. How have your books changed you?
That's a good question. I don't think that they've changed me for like a bad way. I definitely feel like I see the worst in people. Because like when you write as an author, you do character studies of people. You observe people from afar and you try to like correlate that with your story. I'm writing right now an obsessive thriller about somebody that falls in love with somebody at a red light, and then they stalk them. And to get into that mindset, it was really hard to get into that mindset because I'm not a stalker. I'm not a psychopath. So you have to do a lot of research, like I have said so many times already. And doing that research, you go into some dark corners. And to get yourself out of that, you have to have a lot of willpower and just you have to know yourself and your limits. Like I personally, I have PTSD from the military. I know not to look up that stuff when it's late at night and my mind can wander. So it's setting limits to yourself and knowing where you draw the line. Like that's what's not going to make you change as an author. Like if you're writing darker shit that people just need to pay attention to, because like mental health is real. And I'm on anxiety meds. I'm on ADHD meds. I smoke for my PTSD, just being honest. And you just have to know yourself as a person, and try not to let the darkness win, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah, no, knowing your limits is, I think, a very good place to start, especially when you're doing research, because I definitely have seen some interesting things trying to look up research.
Oh, I'm sure.
What was your research process like? Did you uncover anything surprising or fascinating without spoiling details?
Yes, actually. So I discovered that I am related to my narrator. My mother was doing some research through Ancestry, and we're related to the Charbonneaus, which Sacagawea's son is his father is Toussaint Charbonneau. So I found out that I was related to the main character, and then that whole weird, like, I named him Pompey, and then reading the journals and seeing that it was Pomp, it was definitely like, this is what I was meant to write.
That's so cool, though. I want to do that Ancestry thing so bad.
It's so worth it.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to save up for it. I want to do it.
There's some free options too.
There is?
Yeah. I could send you a link.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that.
I'm related to a famous country singer. She's like a cousin down on my grandpa's side. Loretta something.
Cool. Loretta Lynch?
I don't know, the country singer.
Or Loretta Lynn. I think it's Loretta Lynn.
Yeah. I'm related to her.
That's nice. I'm only related to do you guys know who... Wow, why am I forgetting his name? Now I have to look it up. It's the author of Secret Life of Walter Mitty. I think it's James Thurber. Yeah, it's James Thurber. I'm related to him on my grandmother's side, which is pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
And then there's the Fania All-Stars. They used to play with Hector Lavoe, which is a famous Latin musician. And they used to make like instruments in New York City. It was pretty cool. Other than that, I'm not related to anybody like famous for like historic purposes, besides Toussaint Charbonneau, which is cool, but I wish that I would like have like a king in my background or something. Or even like a rebel. Like I wouldn't mind being related to somebody that like is trying to overthrow the government, because same.
Honestly. No, my husband, his last name has royal history. It's got pirate history, and his ancestors came up with the Cook Islands. So he has a lot of history with his last name. That's
awesome.
Yeah. How long did completing your book take you from the initial concept to the publishing stage?
So I started writing in 2020, and I published, like, my first publish of it was 2021, March 2021, like right before my son's birth. I think it was like a couple of weeks before. My son's birthday is March 25th, and I think I published like March 11th, because I was like, once I have my son, I'm not going to be able to write.
Mhm.
And I was pretty much right. It took me a while to get back on track to writing the sequel. I mean, it's 5 years later, and I'm just editing it. But then I got into TikTok, and I republished it with a different cover and everything like that, and sort of rebranded myself. So, I'd say that I finished it in a year, but realistically, like, my finished product is pretty recent to last year. So I'd say 4 years is from start to finish, because now I'm completely done with that. The only thing that I'm looking to do with it is maybe doing an audiobook for it.
Ooh, that would be cool.
I have looked into, I don't know if you guys have heard of ACX.
Yeah, I think so.
So apparently, because I don't know if you guys are like me, but I don't have a lot of money. I'm not trying to spend a crap ton on a narrator. I don't know why I couldn't think of who reads books. Brain is fried. But like, I don't have thousands of dollars to shell out on a narrator. ACX apparently offers like royalty splits, and honestly, like, that doesn't sound bad to me, because I'm an upcoming author. If I can help out an upcoming narrator, like, why not?
That's actually,
and even if I blew up, like, who cares? Like, it's an audiobook. I could always re-record the audiobook, just like Harry Potter did. I mean, originally they had, I think it's Jim Dale, and now they have like these huge actors that are reading for it. So, I mean, it's not like I couldn't republish the audiobook later on if I blew up.
right.
When they have like multiple actors, it's a theatrical audiobook.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
I listened to George Orwell's 1984 theatrical.
Ooh, how is that?
I liked it. But that book
See, I really like the narrator for Harry Potter, so I don't know if I would like all of the different characters. I kind of like how he has to be more of a different people like himself. It's honestly hilarious, like, listening to him go from Harry Potter's voice to Hagrid's. It's like, oi! Like, okay.
Yeah, bigger books like that, I do, like, it is harder, because you have so many characters in it. So yeah, I feel like...
I would rather just one person read my book than, like, multiple actors, though, I feel like. Because it's all about consistency and flow. So if you have other voices, I feel like it would probably be too distracting. At least for me. I listen to my audiobooks in the car, so listening to one person's voice, it's more of an attention thing than anything else.
I think I'm the black sheep of this, because I listen to one person talking the whole time. It goes one ear out the other. So if there's multiple voices, my brain retains it better.
That's fair.
I don't mind it. I actually am not an Audible person, but I have found some that I really like. Like, I like the lady who did The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I did like the lady who did Fourth Wing, because Fourth Wing I actually did better listening to the Audible than actually reading it, and it just Fourth Wing itself, because it took me a lot to get into Fourth Wing. And then, like, the games that gods play, she's got an annoying voice, so that's with.
Careful, we might blow up as authors and have to deal with these people.
We're entitled to our opinions.
Oh, for sure. Do you guys prefer reading like a paperback versus audiobooks, or how do you like reading?
So for me, like with me having 3 kids and one being 2, I like to do bounce between hardback and Kindle, because at Kindle, like when I'm laying down my youngest, I can read that on my phone. Or during the day,
Yeah.
like when I'm in pickup line to pick up my other kid, I can sit there with a book.
Yeah.
So Audible, hit or miss. I have, like, it's the same thing. Like I have a hard time focusing on hearing what they say when I'm trying to drive or do something. So I really have to be in the mood for that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think I'm used to, I've been getting used to reading digitally more so at work, because I can't always have books, like physical books in front of me. Normally I am a physical person. If I'm doing something, this is where I'm the opposite of you, SA. If I'm like driving, I disassociate a lot. So if I don't listen to audiobooks, but that's something I could do if I'm driving. But I honestly, the only time I've listened to audibles was when I was crocheting at work, and that way I'm just listening to it while I'm like watching what I'm doing. I was halfway through the not the Odyssey. The one before that, I can't remember the name of it.
The Iliad?
Yeah, the Iliad. And I got to the scene where they were repeating the same proposal 5 times, and it's like a whole like essay, and I'm just like, how much longer is this? There's no way. So that's kind of where I stopped.
I feel bad for you because I've read the Iliad
Oh,
and
I
the
read
Odyssey,
it too.
and I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yep.
and I can't imagine listening to that.
No, and it was the same old man saying it the same exact way every time. And I'm like, there's no way.
So moving on, how do you personally handle feedback and criticism?
Very maturely. I haven't really gotten too much like terrible feedback, which I kind of wish that I did, just so I know that I'm not saying that like I'm a perfect author, but like I would love some criticism. I'd love people to like dissect my work. I feel like I'm depraved of reviews that I'm like, go ahead and read my book. Like I'd love for you to. But I feel like I handle it pretty well. I've had people not like edit for me, but like read over my stuff and like add comments. And there's been times where they're like, this doesn't work at all, and I'll just go through and erase it. But there's other times where it's like, really? Like, I understood this perfectly fine. Why don't you?
Mhm.
And I feel like communication for criticism and critique is the biggest thing, because if you can communicate with your critics, then you're going to move on successfully. But if you can't have that communication between somebody that's critiquing you, then you're not really doing it properly.
Mhm.
Now you're referring to beta readers, right?
I never had beta readers for my first book. Shocking enough. They probably would have caught my chapter 5 question mark. So I started doing beta readers for my sequel. And yes, referring to beta readers, I have a pretty decent group right now.
Yeah, I have a really good group for that, have stayed with me, and I've added and some have left, but I couldn't have asked for a better team, which Wren was one of mine. Axel and Iris were some that have beta for me for book 2.
Mhm.
Axel gives really good feedback.
They all do. Like I have 12 people total, and I have 6 who are betas and 6 who are ARC.
Nice.
And then I have 2 actual editors who are now actually started working on it on top of my beta. So yeah, so 14 total people, and they all do a great job.
Do you ever get any feedback where you're shocked by, like, them not liking it? Like where you feel like you wrote like a really good passage and then they're like, please erase this?
I haven't had anyone tell me to take anything out per se, unless it's repetitive. But I have been told some scenarios need to be fleshed out better, like better explanations.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm thick-skinned. It's got to take a lot to really hurt my feelings on criticism. And I've already been hit by a troll on Goodreads that tanked my ratings for a while.
I've dealt with that. It's terrible.
Yeah, it is. But I was more hurt about my rating than I was the actual like insults. So
Yeah.
because I know it's not true. I've had enough people, I'm located in 2 different places. I'm located in the library, I've heard a lot of good feedback. People are hearing about me locally because I like last year I was at the school doing the Halloween thing, and one of the teachers there told me that someone else had referred them to my book, and they bought the last one that was at the bookstore before.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, I mean, it gets around.
That's the weirdest part for me as an author is like I sold quite a bit of physical books and then I didn't really get as much feedback as I thought that I would. I don't know if it's that I didn't put like go to my Goodreads enough on the back cover, but when I first launched, I had all of my socials that were like go and leave a review basically at the end. I feel like I didn't get a lot.
I had to keep referring people to go to Goodreads or Amazon to leave their reviews because they kept coming directly to me. And it's like, I love to hear it personally, but can you go on there and do the same thing?
Yeah, because that's, I hate to say it, but that's what generates sales. Like you have more reviews, the algorithm's going to see that and be like, hey, this person just got 5 5-star reviews in the past hour. Let's send people your way,
Okay. I was going through the question. Sorry. Okay. So,
you're good.
To continue, how do you handle writer's block?
Do you want the PG version?
I mean, I always put a warning that we're not going to be childish about anything, so go ahead.
Okay. I mean, I like to smoke before I write, like a lot. Not like a lot, like getting baked out of my mind, but like I like to smoke. It opens up my mind. I like to listen to music. I tend to put on playlists. My story that I'm writing for like my sequel and then my 3rd book, I feel like there's a lot of like folky playlists that really inspire me because they're exploring, they're in the woods. So like I have a lot of Noah Kahan, or Noah Khan. I don't know how to pronounce his name. There's a lot of Mumford and Sons in there. I'm trying to think of any other bands. The Paper Kites, that was a new band that I just got into. They're really good too. So I like to kind of mix up my inspiration. And when I'm struggling with writer's block, I don't ever stop writing. I focus on something different. So if I'm struggling with a scene, I'll go through and focus on lore for that day. Or if I'm really struggling with building lore, I'll go into building character traits and introducing new characters. There's something that I'm always doing to keep myself busy because I feel like if you don't strike while the iron's hot, like when you're ready to write, you are going to lose it. It's not like riding a bike. Like you can't just come back to your story and write in the same style and the same tone and the same pace that you were 10 months ago. It's just like when you're writing a song. I've written so many songs that I'll go back and try to record it and I'm like, how is this flow even the same? Because I'll be rapping it and it's like, this isn't how it sounded to begin with, and it sounded way better before. So there's definitely that struggle right there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What do you hope that readers take away from your book?
I hope that they take away a story that kind of just grips them. by the imagination, and that they look into the woods and they're looking for the tribes that I've introduced. They're looking for otter people running around or moose people. I also have a Sasquatch tribe too. Just putting that out there. Yeah, they're like they're very peaceful giants. They're hippies before hippies were invented, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're not like warlike. There's a big group of them, and they're one of the allies. And they are not like super intelligent, but they're intelligent enough to like form alliances. And I just hope that people look at my stories like I looked at Percy Jackson and the Olympians and was inspired and like wanted to be a part of that universe. Like I always wanted to be a demigod. I was like, who's my godly parent?
Right.
So I want people to be like, oh, I wish that I was an Aukie, like a moose person, or I wish I was part of this universe that, I don't know, like I just hope I inspire people to really like want to be a part of my world.
Mm-hmm. So what is your writing process like? Do you have a specific time? Do you jot down? Do you prefer to write in a notebook or straight onto the computer?
So I have I think it's called a Papermate, where I actually have my pen right here. It's like writing with a pencil, but it's electronic, and I can transfer it to my Word documents. It's super handy. I really like writing on that for my lore, and then kind of referring to that while I'm typing. When I'm typing, my writing process is I shut down all of my other tabs. Like I might have one up for Google, but like YouTube's gone, all of that, like anything distracting, I'm taking off from my computer. I write on my gaming computer sometimes. I write on a laptop sometimes. I really try to like just make sure that I'm focused as much as possible because I have ADHD. Like if I didn't like set the parameters of how I'm going to write, I would never accomplish anything.
Mm-hmm.
What is your typical writing day like?
Like the process still, or what I'm doing like while I'm writing?
When you go to write and stuff, like, I mean, I guess you kind of answered a little bit of it. Like,
I feel like I'm more of a sprinter. Like I like writing in sprints rather than going on and writing like in huge chunks. I feel like my inspiration is a lot better that way, because when I type in big chunks, I feel like I tend to either repeat myself or to get into too much detail. And with a writing sprint, it's more about getting what I'm trying to write down as accurately as possible and without like word vomit.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. I kind of write in sprints too, not purposely at least, but that's kind of how
I also have kids, so yeah. It's hard to juggle being a parent and writing, because your inspiration can hit you and you're hearing dad, and like, when do you write? So that is where the Papermate comes in handy. I do use my notes, but it's so hard to remember to check my notes while I'm writing, because it's such an easy access thing. We're like, hey, let me put this in my notes, and then let me forget it for 9 months.
Oh, yeah.
So
my second book, I wrote entirely in a notebook and typed it up.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. I honestly have like a really fancy notebook that I was like, I'm going to write lore in this, and I haven't written a single word in it. They look pretty, but I have no desire to write like freehand, because I can't read my writing half the time anyways. So
that's fair.
What does success mean to you as an author?
I feel like success is, I kind of touched upon this. I want people to feel like they're part of my world. I want them to want more media surrounding it. Like I would love to have a Netflix show for my book, but I also don't want millions, if that makes sense. Like, I don't want to be in the spotlight. I don't want to be this famous author that like can't catch a break. I want to be able to write my books, have creative control over any other form of media like video games, comic books, or anything that anybody wants to do with my book later on, and be the overseer for anything that is created in my universe with full creative control.
Well, that's kind of the great
I don't-
thing about being an indie author, because you control you. You don't have that manager and the publicity. So
I've never wanted to go traditional, honestly. The amount of cuts that they take is absurd. And honestly, the amount of rejection that people have to go through just to get their book published. I know that I like my book, and that's good enough for me. That's why I'm writing. I feel like when you get away from writing for like yourself and for your fans and start writing for a paycheck, that's when like that's a failure to me. Like, I'll never write for a paycheck. I'd rather write for myself and my enjoyment. This is a therapy session on paper, you know?
Yeah.
These are characters that I resonate with. And the minute that I stop resonating with them, that's when that's a failure to me. That's not a success.
I get that.
what kind of point of view do you prefer writing in?
Definitely first person. I did third person for my first book, and I felt like there was a lot of times that I caught myself switching from third to first, and from switching the perspective to the sequel to just first person and making it so it's like he went through this and he's going to react like in that moment. It's a lot easier than writing this happened to them and this is how it happened, rather than like having the full emotions of like the now.
What platforms do you promote on? Where can people find you?
I promote mostly on here on TikTok. I'm trying to build my Instagram, but I'm super lazy about it. And I'm on Goodreads. That's really all. I tend to stick to TikTok. It's the easiest.
Yeah.
Have you guys experienced with YouTube at all?
I mean, we post on YouTube for the author stuff, for the podcast.
We do,
But like for
Spotify.
your regular author stuff, do you post anything on there?
Mm-mm.
No.
I feel like there's not that much of a community for like there's Book Talk and then there's Bookstagram, but there's not like BookTube.
BookTube. I mean, technically, okay, as someone who's worked in classrooms, I think there could be technically a BookTube community because it's more geared towards for classrooms. So, like, there's people reading books for children. So, I mean, there is like a BookTube there, but it's not definitely. I really only think it would be audiobooks on YouTube.
Yeah. Is it okay if I ask a question?
Yeah, go for it.
Do you guys have any projects that you're working on that are out of your comfort zone?
Originals?
Like not your typical genre?
Originals, no. But I write fan fiction on the side, and I use that as my dabbling zone.
Okay.
So I do have one that I'm writing that's not something I typically write, and it's harder than I anticipated because I'm not a romance writer. I don't like writing straight romance genre. So I've been testing that out in fan fiction, and I'm really struggling with it.
In all honesty, my first book, Falling Forward, I would have to say was out of my comfort zone because I'm an angsty person. I got a dark mind. Like, there has to be dark things. Falling Forward was almost dark. Like, I told Essay how dark it could have been. But I ended up scratching everything, and I think I went through 10 revisions with that book until I was like somewhat satisfied. But along with essay, I also write fan fiction on the side, and I'm out of my comfort zone writing third person limited because I'm not a third person writer. But I've been having a lot of fun with it. Apparently, I can't do it for myself, for my characters, but I could do it for other people's characters. So I don't know.
What communities do you write fanfic for?
Me, it's anime, My Hero Academia, and fairy.
Yeah,
Okay.
mine is just My Hero Academia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just started getting into anime, so I'm not into. I haven't written any fanfic. If I were to, it'd probably be for like DC or Marvel, honestly.
I think there is a good community for that.
It's just so hard to write about established characters that already have traits because I feel like they're like, this isn't what he would do, and I have a totally different thought process to that.
See, I find it easier writing fan fiction than original.
Yeah, honestly, though.
I mean, you do have the baseline for everything, so I guess that makes it easier.
That's true. All right, then I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up here. So thank you everybody so much for watching here at Author Sesh Corner. We post on YouTube and Spotify. Please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, anything helps. Please subscribe to the Author Sesh Corner on TikTok. We need to get to 100 followers in order to do author spotlights on there as well. Otherwise, we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.